Remember the story of the wife who shot her husband, who happens to be a former cop, because she is in charge of a daycare. She received credible allegations from children that her husband molested them. She confronted her husband. He ends up being shot by her. She gets arrested. Baltimore PD responds. She goes to jail. He's a former Baltimore police officer himself. He gets nothing. We find out later she actually went to Baltimore PD about these allegations and they did nothing. When I covered the story the first time, I said, I guarantee you they're going to investigate now because it's a national story. And that's exactly what has happened. Put up the picture of the man who has now been charged with heinous crimes. The man shot by his wife at her due to him molesting children allegedly at her Baltimore County daycare is actually being charged now with sexual offenses that were brought to the attention of Baltimore PD first. His name is James S. Weems, 57 years of age. The former Baltimore cop faces 13 counts related to 3 victims, including 2 counts of third-degree sex offense, 3 counts of second-degree assault, and 1 count of displaying obscene material to a minor. Now, there are those of you who push back on me because I said very clearly, I simply hope that the wife gets a good defense attorney. Because based on her narrative, this former cop started to aggressively approach her during the confrontation, and she was in fear of her life. I'm sure he's used that line before himself. And she also made it clear she did not want to kill him, she just wanted to make him immobile. And that's what she did. County police stated they've been investigating him since early this month. Well, why is that? Because she took the information to the cops. But remember, she said they did nothing. They did nothing. So now they're saying, oh, we've been investigating for 4 weeks now. Yeah, precisely when she went to you and said this was happening and you did nothing to your former colleague. So yes, she took matters into her own hands. But once again, it was only after he approached her in an aggressive manner, according to her report. So let me give you the recap. DC Metropolitan Police were called to the Mandarin Oriental Hotel on July 21st after getting a report that a man had been shot on the 8th floor. When officers arrived to the room, they began talking to Mrs. Weems, 50 years of age, and asking her to open the door so they could treat the victim. Ms. Weems told the police that, and I quote, he's a child molester, referring to her husband of 5 years, according to police affidavit. After about an hour-long standoff, police moved into the room and detained Mrs. Weems after Officer Weems, former cop, told the police he had been shot in the head and the leg. Ms. Weems is owner of Little Kids Castle in Owning Mills. That's her. I think she's a sweet woman. And I think she was acting in protection of those children. Criticize me if you choose. According to court documents, Ms. Weems had received multiple messages and phone calls from parents and teachers about molestation at the Owing Mills daycare. She confronted her husband in the hotel room, which escalated. Then James moved toward her and she pulled her gun from a purse and shot him. Ms. Weems was taken into custody following the shooting. As we covered yesterday, Ms. Weems has been charged with assault with intent to kill and firearm charges. Police had found a notebook with handwritten notes in which she said she wanted to shoot James and not kill him, but maybe cause paralysis because the author said, the writer of that note said she wanted the kids to simply get justice. The notebook also included an informal will distributing belongings because she thought she may die. Okay, this is interesting. And I know there are passions on both sides. It's very clear to me. He's a monster. And I think he was going to do something monstrous to her because he was exposed and confronted, and she decided to save her own life. That's how I see it. Attorney, what are your thoughts here?
I think that so long as there is sufficient information and some evidence that he was indeed molesting children, I think it's going to be hard to find a jury to convict her. I think we all know that the system can work very slowly when it comes to law enforcement, and we know that they don't really solve crimes. They're not in the business of solving crimes as much as responding to crimes. So this woman knowing that, hey, he has connections with law enforcement as it is, and he's probably going to continue to get away with it. I think a lot of people may just, engage in jury nullification and not necessarily hit her with the highest of charges that she could actually be convicted of.
Yeah, all right.